Hey, legal drama enthusiasts, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep, and I mean really deep, into the highly anticipated spinoff that's taking the legal world by storm, Suits LA. I know many of you have been waiting for this premiere with bated breath, especially after the original series left such a massive impact on the television landscape. For those who've been living under a rock, Suits ran for 9 successful seasons, giving us iconic characters like Harvey Specter, Mike Ross, and Donna Paulson. When news broke that creator Aaron Korsh was developing a spin off set in Los Angeles, fans immediately started speculating about what new dynamics we'd see in the cutthroat world of West Coast law. Well, the wait is over, and the premiere episode titled 7 Days a Week and Twice on Sunday has finally dropped. And let me tell you, it does not disappoint. If you thought the original Suits had drama, wait until you see what the glamorous, backstabbing world of LA entertainment law has in store. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, a quick reminder. This video will contain major spoilers for the first episode. I'm going to break down everything, all the twists, turns, and jaw-dropping moments. So if you haven't watched it yet, now's your chance to pause this video and come back after you've experienced it for yourself. Don't worry, I'll wait. Still with me? Great. Let's also take a moment to appreciate that this spin-off comes to us 5 years after the original series concluded. The legal drama landscape hasn't been the same since Suits wrapped up in 2019, and while shows like The Good Fight and Goliath have tried to fill that void, there's something special about returning to the Suits universe. For this hour-long breakdown, I'll be covering everything: plot details, character dynamics, Easter eggs, callbacks to the original series, and even some theories about where this season might be headed. So grab your coffee, settle in, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss our in-depth episode analyses. Now, let's head to Los Angeles and meet a whole new cast of legal sharks in their natural habitat. The premiere episode opens with a stunning aerial shot of Los Angeles, immediately establishing that we're far from the New York setting of the original series. The camera sweeps down to reveal a luxurious law firm with Black Lane emblazoned on the building, our first introduction to the show's setting. We meet Ted Black, played by Stephen Amell, whom many will recognize as Oliver Queen from Arrow, as he strides confidently through his office. From the first moment, we can tell Ted is cut from a different cloth than Harvey Specter. Where Harvey was smooth and polished, Ted has a raw, more intense energy. He's a former New York federal prosecutor who reinvented himself in Los Angeles as a high-powered entertainment lawyer. The episode wastes no time establishing the central conflict. Ted and his partner, Stuart Lane, played by Josh McDermott of Walking Dead fame, are on the verge of a major merger with a firm owned by Talia Robinson, who, in classic Suits fashion, is revealed to be Ted's ex. This immediately sets up both professional and personal tensions. We learn that Black Lane is an entertainment law firm specializing in representing Hollywood's elite, but with a substantial criminal defense division headed by Stewart. The merger, if successful, would create the largest entertainment law firm in Los Angeles, giving them unprecedented power in the industry. Meanwhile, we're introduced to the firm's associates, primarily Rick and Erica, who are locked in a fierce competition for positions in the newly merged firm. Their dynamic immediately evokes memories of the associate rivalries from the original Suits, though with distinctly different personalities. The merger seems to be proceeding smoothly until a high-profile client, Lester Thompson, a famous actor and producer, is arrested for the murder of a young actress. This is where the episode kicks into high gear. Lester insists he's being framed, but the evidence against him looks damning. When Stewart suggests taking a safe approach with a plea deal, Lester demands someone who actually believes in his innocence. In a pivotal scene, Ted reluctantly steps in. We learn through flashbacks that Ted left criminal law behind after a traumatic case in New York involving a mob boss named Roberto Gustini. These flashbacks show Ted as a ruthless prosecutor, willing to cross ethical lines to secure convictions. A dark side will undoubtedly explore more as the series progresses. Ted's decision to take Lester's case puts him at odds with Stewart, who believes the firm should focus on the merger rather than risking their reputation on a potentially guilty client. This disagreement escalates throughout the episode, culminating in a shocking betrayal that I'll get into later. As if Ted doesn't have enough on his plate, we also learn that his father, a former gangster with ties to organized crime, is dying in a hospital across town. These scenes reveal that Ted has a complicated relationship with his father, who was absent for much of his childhood but now seeks reconciliation. Perhaps the most surprising element of the plot is the revelation that Ted regularly sees and speaks with the ghost of his brother Eddie, who had Down syndrome and was murdered, a tragic event that still haunts Ted. This supernatural element sets Suits, LA, apart from its predecessor in a bold and unexpected way. By the episode's end, the merger has fallen apart. Ted's partnership with Stewart is in shambles, and he's committed to defending Lester Thompson despite the personal and professional costs. The final scene shows Ted returning to New York to recruit Kevin, a former colleague from his prosecutor days, offering him $400,000 to join the defense team, showing just how all in Ted is on this case. Let's take some time to really understand the fascinating characters that populate Suits LA, because they're quite different from the original series ensemble. Stephen Amell's Ted Black is our protagonist, and he's a study in contrasts. On the surface, he's confident, charming, and successful, a Yankees fan stubbornly holding on to his East Coast roots in Dodger territory. He even compares himself to Patrick Mahomes in one memorable line. Like Mahomes, I do what needs to be done to win 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. This gives us the episode's title and a good insight into Ted's competitive nature. But beneath this confident exterior, Ted is deeply haunted. The flashbacks to his time as a prosecutor show a man willing to emotionally blackmail a witness named Billy to testify against mob boss Roberto Gustini. In one particularly disturbing scene, Ted threatens to have Billy's daughter removed from his custody if he doesn't cooperate. This ruthless streak is balanced by genuine remorse. We see present-day Ted still troubled by these past actions. What makes Ted truly unique in the legal drama genre is his supernatural connection. The ghost of his brother Eddie appears to him throughout the episode, serving as both conscience and comfort. Eddie had Down syndrome and was murdered under circumstances that remain mysterious, but it's clear his death profoundly shaped Ted's life path. The scenes between Ted and Eddie's ghost are surprisingly touching, revealing a vulnerable side to our protagonist. Josh McDermott's Stuart Lane is positioned as Ted's partner and supposed best friend, though their relationship deteriorates rapidly throughout the episode. Stewart heads the criminal defense division and is introduced as the best defense attorney in the country, according to Ted. He's more cautious and pragmatic than Ted, advocating for safe approaches rather than bold risks. When Ted decides to take on Lester's case despite the potential damage to the firm, Stewart's pragmatism turns to betrayal, revealing that beneath his friendly exterior is a calculating businessman primarily concerned with his own interests. The associates, Rick and Erica, represent the younger generation of lawyers at the firm. Rick is ambitious but lacks confidence, while Erica is sharp and outspoken. Their competitive dynamic provides a familiar element for fans of the original Suits, though they're more than just Lewis and Mike clones. The merger crisis forces them to choose sides between Ted and Stewart, setting up interesting loyalty conflicts for future episodes. Lester Thompson, the high-profile client accused of murder, is portrayed as charismatic yet vulnerable. He insists on his innocence with such conviction that Ted, despite his reluctance to return to criminal defense, can't help but believe him. Whether Lester is truly innocent or manipulating Ted remains to be seen, adding another layer of tension to the narrative. We only get glimpses of Ted's dying father, but these brief scenes hint at a complex history. His father was involved in organized crime, and there are suggestions that his criminal activities might be connected to Eddie's murder. This family history explains Ted's initial career as a prosecutor. Perhaps he was atoning for his father's sins by putting away men like him. And then there's the ghost of Eddie, Ted's brother who had Down syndrome. Eddie appears in Ted's apartment, office, and even courtroom, visible only to Ted. These interactions reveal Ted's gentler side and suggest that Eddie's death was a traumatic turning point in Ted's life. The show takes a risk with this supernatural element, but it adds an emotional depth that distinguishes the series from typical legal dramas. Finally, we meet Kevin briefly at the episode's end, a former colleague from Ted's prosecutor days whom Ted recruits to help with Lester's case. Their short interaction hints at a complicated history, with Kevin initially reluctant to work with Ted again, suggesting there might be bad blood between them from their New York days. This rich character ensemble sets up numerous possibilities for development throughout the season, with enough similarities to the original suits to feel familiar, but enough differences to establish its own identity. Now let's break down the most pivotal scenes and moments from this jam-packed premiere. The episode opens with a powerful cold open showing Ted in court 5 years ago, prosecuting mob boss Roberto Giustini. This flashback establishes Ted's ruthless approach as a prosecutor, setting up the moral complexity of his character. The scene ends with Ted winning the case but looking troubled by his own tactics, a theme that will recur throughout the episode. Our first present-day scene introduces Ted in his element at Black Lane, confidently handling a contract dispute for a Hollywood director. This establishes his new identity as an entertainment lawyer and shows how far he's come from his prosecutor days. The contrast between past and present Ted is striking and effective. The merger announcement scene brings all the key players together, showing the power dynamics within the firm. Ted and Stewart present a united front, but we can already see subtle tensions between them in their body language and how they interact with the associates. This seemingly triumphant moment is undercut by Ted's private conversation with his ex, Talia, revealing their complicated history and hinting at unresolved feelings. One of the most shocking scenes comes when Ted first sees Eddie's ghost in his office. The casual way Ted interacts with Eddie suggests this is a regular occurrence for him, raising immediate questions about Ted's mental state. Is he experiencing genuine supernatural visitations? Or is this a manifestation of trauma? The show cleverly leaves this ambiguous, but the emotion in these scenes feels authentic regardless. The arrest of Lester Thompson serves as the inciting incident that drives the rest of the plot. The scene where Lester insists on his innocence in the face of damning evidence is brilliantly acted, making both Ted and the audience want to believe him despite the facts. When Lester rejects Stewart's cautious approach and demands someone who believes in him, Ted's reluctant step forward marks the true beginning of his character journey. Perhaps the most powerful flashback comes midway through the episode, showing Ted emotionally blackmailing witness Billy to testify against Giustini. Ted threatens Billy's custody of his daughter in a chilling display of prosecutorial overreach. The scene is uncomfortable to watch but crucial for understanding Ted's complex relationship with justice and his own moral code. The confrontation between Ted and Stewart when Ted decides to take Lester's case marks the beginning of their partnership's dissolution. Stewart's concerns initially seem reasonable. The firm is at a critical juncture with the merger, and a high-profile murder case could damage their reputation. But Ted's insistence on defending Lester reveals his deeper motivations, a need for redemption from his prosecutor days and a genuine belief in Lester's innocence. The scenes between Ted and his dying father provide emotional weight, showing Ted struggling to reconcile with a man who was largely absent but now seeks forgiveness. These quiet hospital room conversations reveal more about Ted's past than any exposition could, particularly when his father cryptically references Eddie's death with, "I never meant for that to happen to your brother." The episode's most jaw-dropping moment comes when Stewart betrays Ted, announcing the dissolution of their partnership just as Ted commits to Lester's defense. This betrayal happens at the worst possible moment for Ted, when he's taking a massive professional risk and needs support most. Stewart's calculated timing reveals his true character and sets up the central conflict moving forward. The climax of the episode sees Ted visiting his old colleague Kevin in New York, offering him $400,000 to join Lester's defense team. This scene illustrates just how all in Ted is on this case. He's willing to spend an enormous sum from his personal funds and reach out to someone from his past with whom he clearly has a strained relationship. When Kevin asks why Ted is doing this, Ted simply responds, because he's innocent. But we as viewers understand there's much more to it. This case represents Ted's chance at redemption. The episode closes with a powerful image. Ted standing alone in his office with the lane portion of the Black Lane sign already removed, symbolizing his sudden isolation. As he stares out at the Los Angeles skyline, Eddie's ghost appears beside him and says, "You always did like doing things the hard way, didn't you?" It's a perfect encapsulation of the episode and Ted's character. He's chosen the difficult path, but he's not entirely alone. What makes this premiere so fascinating is how it simultaneously honors the suit's legacy while boldly charting its own course. The original series gradually revealed Harvey Specter's personal demons over multiple seasons, building his complexity slowly. In contrast, Suits LA dumps Ted Black's emotional baggage on us all at once, from his trauma as a prosecutor to his complicated family history and even supernatural visions. This approach is risky but refreshing. By immediately establishing Ted as a morally complex character with literal ghosts, the show signals that it's not interested in a slow burn. Instead, it wants to dive straight into the psychological depths of its protagonist. This makes Ted immediately more complicated than Harvey was in early Suits seasons, though perhaps less immediately likable. The choice to include a supernatural element with Eddie's ghost is particularly bold for a legal drama. Yet it works because it's handled with surprising restraint and emotional authenticity. The ghost isn't used for cheap scares or gimmicks, but as a window into Ted's psyche and past. It adds a unique flavor to what could otherwise have been a more standard legal procedural. Stephen Amell deserves significant praise for his portrayal of Ted. Known primarily for his work as Oliver Queen Green Arrow, Amell shows impressive range here, bringing a wounded intensity to Ted that makes you wonder what's really driving him. Is it justice, redemption, or something darker? His scenes with Eddie's ghost are particularly well acted, conveying both fraternal love and lingering grief. The show's greatest strength might be its willingness to immediately establish high stakes. By the end of a single episode, Ted has lost his partnership, committed to a potentially unwinnable murder case, and begun recruiting a new team. This accelerated pacing creates immediate investment in the story and character. However, this ambition is also the episode's biggest weakness. Between the merger drama, the competition between associates, Lester's case, Ted's dying father, and the ghost of his brother, the premiere tries to pack in too much too quickly. Some storylines, particularly the associate competition, feel underdeveloped as a result. The show is clearly ambitious, but it might have benefited from a slower build to allow each element room to breathe. The LA setting is used effectively to distinguish the spin-off from its New York-based predecessor. The sun-drenched cinematography contrasts with the original's cooler color palette, and the entertainment law angle provides fresh legal territory to explore. The episode makes good use of LA locations, establishing a strong sense of place that feels distinct from the original series. In terms of tone, Suits LA is noticeably darker than early seasons of the original show. While Suits had its serious moments, it balanced them with humor and charm. This spin-off immediately stakes out more somber territory with murder cases, family trauma, and supernatural elements. It's a bold choice that helps establish its own identity, though it may alienate viewers hoping for the same lighter moments that made the original so watchable. Overall, this premiere succeeds in its most important task, making viewers want to see what happens next. By establishing Ted as a complex, flawed protagonist with significant personal and professional challenges, the show creates immediate investment in his journey. Whether the series can sustain this momentum remains to be seen, but this first episode provides a strong foundation. The episode leaves us with several burning questions that will likely drive the next installment, titled Old Man Hanrahan. First and foremost is the question of how Ted will build Lester's defense without his former firm's resources. The preview for episode 2 suggests Ted will be operating out of temporary offices while assembling his new team. This starting from scratch storyline echoes elements of the original Suits, particularly the early season's underdog spirit. The recruitment of Kevin raises intriguing possibilities. Will he prove worth the $400,000 price tag? The brief interaction between Ted and Kevin hints at a complicated history. Kevin's initial reluctance suggests there might be bad blood between them from their prosecutor days. The preview shows Kevin arriving in LA, indicating he accepted Ted's offer, but their dynamic promises to be tense. Then there's the question of Stewart's betrayal and its fallout. Will Stewart and Ted become direct competitors? The dissolution of their partnership seems irrevocable, setting up a potential rivalry that could drive much of the season's conflict. The title, Old Man Hanrahan, suggests we might meet another key character, perhaps a judge or a senior attorney, who will play a role in the legal battles ahead. The associates, Rick and Erica, face a critical choice: remain with Stewart or follow Ted into his new venture. The preview shows at least one of them appearing at Ted's temporary office, suggesting Ted won't be entirely without allies. Their loyalty will likely be a key subplot in episode 2. Perhaps most intriguingly, the dying father subplot promises to reveal more about Ted's complicated family history. The cryptic comment about Eddie's death, "I never meant for that to happen to your brother," suggests Ted's father might have been involved directly or indirectly. Episode 2 will likely explore this family tragedy further and how it shaped Ted's career choices. The supernatural element with Eddie's ghost opens fascinating possibilities for the show's direction. Will these visions continue? Are they truly supernatural? Or signs of a brilliant legal mind under immense stress? Either way, they promise to add a unique dimension to the legal drama ahead. The preview shows a brief glimpse of Eddie in what appears to be a courtroom setting, suggesting these visions will continue to manifest in Ted's professional life. Finally, there's Lester's case itself. Is he truly innocent as he claims, or is Ted being manipulated? The evidence against Lester seems substantial, but the show has established Ted's instincts as generally reliable. The next episode will likely begin to reveal more details about the murder and potential alternative suspects. The preview shows Ted in what appears to be an evidence room, suggesting he'll be digging deeper into the facts of the case. All these threads coming together promise an episode that will further develop the unique identity of Suits LA while building on the strong foundation established in the premiere. LA may share DNA with its predecessor, but this premiere makes it clear that Ted Black is no Harvey Specter, and this is no mere rehash of a successful formula. Ted's journey from prosecutor to entertainment lawyer and back to criminal defense is fueled by personal demons that run much deeper than we initially realized. The show takes significant risks with its supernatural elements and accelerated character development, creating a viewing experience that feels both familiar and fresh. While the original Suits was primarily about ambition and success, this spin-off seems more concerned with redemption and reckoning with the past, themes that promise rich storytelling possibilities. The performances, particularly from Stephen Amell as Ted and Josh McDermott as Stewart, elevate the material beyond standard legal drama fare. Amell especially impresses with his ability to convey Ted's internal struggles while maintaining the confident exterior expected of a leading attorney character. While the episode tries to juggle perhaps too many plot threads, it succeeds in hooking us with intriguing characters and bold storytelling choices. The blend of legal drama with supernatural elements and family tragedy creates a unique flavor that sets it apart from not just the original Suits, but from other legal shows on television. If this premiere is any indication, LA is less interested in recreating the magic of its predecessor than in establishing its own identity, a commendable approach for a spin-off. By immediately diving into darker, more complex territory, it signals that it's willing to take the risks necessary to stand on its own. For fans of the original series, there's enough of the Suits DNA here to feel familiar. The legal maneuvering, the office politics, the sharp dialogue. But there's also enough new material to make this feel like a genuinely fresh entry in the franchise rather than a pale imitation. What did you think of the premiere? Are you Team Ted or Team Stewart? Do you believe Lester is innocent? And what's your take on the supernatural element? Bold creative choice or unnecessary addition? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share with your fellow legal drama enthusiasts. I'll be back next week with a full breakdown of Episode 2, Old Man Hanrahan. So make sure you've got those notifications turned on. Until next time, this is Amelia 2.00, making sense of the legal chaos one episode at a time.